Woman is humiliated after inheriting mother's abandoned house, unknown to all that it's worth millions. Jennifer Reynolds stood in front of the notary's office, the inheritance papers trembling in her hands as tears streamed down her face. "So this is what you left me, Mum?" she whispered, staring at the document that confirmed the old abandoned house in the Riverside neighborhood of Portland was now hers. The same house everyone in the family called Mrs. Margaret's White Elephant. The notary, Mr. Richard, watched her with an expression mixing pity and impatience. He'd seen many people disappointed with inheritances, but Jennifer's case seemed especially sad. The 38-year-old woman, dressed in a plain black t-shirt and faded jeans, couldn't hold back her tears. "Can I help you with anything else, Miss Reynolds?" he asked, already reaching for the next set of documents in line. Jennifer shook her head and left the office. Outside, she found her cousin Rebecca waiting in her imported car, the air conditioning blasting. Rebecca rolled the window down just enough to speak. "So, get anything worthwhile?" Jennifer showed her the document. Rebecca let out a cruel laugh. "The old house, seriously? Oh, Jennifer, your mother really didn't like you, huh? Left everything valuable to charity and gave you that dump." The words cut Jennifer like razors. She knew her cousin well. Rebecca had always been jealous of Jennifer's close relationship with Mrs. Margaret, but that didn't dull the pain. "It's the house where she was born, Rebecca. It has sentimental value." "Sentimental value doesn't pay bills, sweetheart. You'll spend a fortune just to tear it down. Or are you going to live there with the rats and roaches?" Rebecca rolled up the window and sped off, leaving Jennifer alone on the sidewalk. Jennifer walked to the bus stop, each step heavier than the last. At 38, she worked as an office assistant at a small accounting firm. Her salary barely covered her basic expenses, and now she'd inherited a problem. During the bus ride to Riverside, Jennifer remembered her mother's final months. Mrs. Margaret had passed 3 weeks earlier after a long battle with a degenerative illness. Jennifer had cared for her until the end, sleeping at the hospital, missing work, spending her savings on medicine. "You sure you want to get off here?" the bus driver asked when Jennifer pressed the stop signal. "This area isn't very safe." "I was born here, sir. I know everyone," Jennifer replied, trying to sound more confident than she felt. The Riverside neighborhood had changed a lot since her childhood. The modest houses had been replaced by small apartment buildings, the streets were paved, and even a discount mall had been built nearby. But the Reynolds family home remained untouched by time, a forgotten relic amid progress. Jennifer stopped in front of the rusted gate. The 2-story house, its once white walls now gray and cracked, its roof tiles broken, its windows shattered, looked like a ghost from the past. The garden, where her grandmother had grown roses, was overrun with weeds. "Jennifer? Jennifer Reynolds?" She turned and saw Mrs. Jenkins, the neighbor across the street, a white-haired woman who'd lived there for over 50 years. "Mrs. Jenkins," Jennifer forced a smile. "My dear, I'm so sorry about your mother. Margaret was a wonderful woman." The old woman approached and hugged her. "So you got the house?" "Yes, ma'am, but I don't really know what to do with it." Mrs. Jenkins looked at the abandoned building and sighed. "Your mother never wanted to sell, did she? Even with so many people interested. I remember when those developers came by, offered good money, but Margaret wouldn't even talk to them." "Developers?" Jennifer was surprised. "Mom never told me that." "Oh, about 2 years ago, they wanted to buy the entire block, to build one of those modern condominiums. They bought everything except your mother's house. She said there was too much history there to sell." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now back to the story. Jennifer thanked her for the information and opened the gate, which creaked in protest. The path to the front door was covered in dry leaves and twigs. She pulled the old key from her pocket, the same one her mother had kept in a velvet box. The door opened with difficulty, and Jennifer was greeted by a strong smell of mold and neglect. Sunlight streamed through the holes in the roof, creating beams of light that danced with the dust suspended in the air. The furniture was covered in dusty sheets, and spiderwebs decorated every corner. Jennifer walked slowly through the living room, her childhood memories clashing with the present reality. There was the fireplace where her grandmother told stories on cold nights, the wooden staircase where she used to slip as a child, the kitchen where her mother made the best cornbread cakes in the area. Her phone rang, snapping her out of her reverie. It was her boss, Michael. "Jennifer, you didn't come to work today. Is everything all right?" "I'm sorry, Mr. Michael. I was sorting out some matters with my mother's inheritance." "Oh, right. Inherited anything good, I hope?" Jennifer glanced around and lied. "I'm still assessing." "Well, I need you here tomorrow without fail. We have month-end closing and you know how it is." "Yes, sir, I'll be there." She hung up and continued exploring the house. She climbed the stairs carefully, testing each step. The second floor had 3 bedrooms and a bathroom. In the room that had been her mother's as a child, Jennifer found some old boxes. She sat on the floor and began opening one. Inside were old photographs, yellowed letters, and documents. One photo in particular caught her eye. Her grandmother, Elizabeth Smith, young and smiling, next to a well-dressed man Jennifer didn't recognize. "Who could this be?" she murmured, flipping the photo over. On the back, a note in careful handwriting, "Elizabeth and William, 1955, our secret." Jennifer tucked the photo into her pocket and kept searching. She found birth certificates, old deeds, newspaper clippings. A larger envelope sealed with wax had her name written on it in her mother's handwriting. With trembling hands, Jennifer opened the envelope. Inside was a letter. "My dear Jennifer, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone and you're now the guardian of our home. I know you must be confused, maybe even upset to have inherited just an old house. But you need to know this house. Holds secrets only you can uncover. Look in the attic behind the false wall where you used to hide as a child. There you'll find the answers. With eternal love, Mom." Jennifer felt her heart race. A false wall. She vaguely remembered a hiding spot in the attic, but it had been so long. The sound of voices outside interrupted her. Through the broken window, she saw 3 people in the garden. Rebecca, accompanied by her husband Matthew, and another man in a suit. "That's right, Mr. Thompson," Rebecca was saying. "The house is in such a deplorable state. My cousin doesn't have the means to renovate or demolish it. It would be a favor if you could take this problem off her hands." Jennifer rushed downstairs and stepped outside. "What are you all doing here?" Rebecca feigned surprise. "Jennifer, you scared me. We were just passing by, and I thought I'd show Mr. Thompson the state of the house. He's a realtor and could help you get rid of it." The man in the suit extended his hand. "Pleasure to meet you, Miss Jennifer. Your cousin told me about your situation. I can make an offer for the property, even in its current condition." "The house isn't for sale," Jennifer said firmly. Matthew, Rebecca's husband, let out a laugh. "Don't be stubborn, Jennifer. Look around. This is a public hazard. The city will condemn it soon and you'll end up paying fines." "It's true," agreed the realtor. "I've seen cases like this. You could end up with a huge debt. I can offer $50,000. That's the most for the lot." $50,000? Rebecca pretended to be outraged. "Mr. Thompson, are you serious? That's a lot of money for this ruin." Jennifer saw right through the act. Her cousin was clearly in cahoots with the realtor. "I already said it's not for sale. Now please get off my property." "Your property?" Rebecca crossed her arms, her usual arrogant pose. "Jennifer, be realistic. What do you make? $2,000 a month? It'll take years just to save up enough to clear the lot." Rebecca's words echoed through the overgrown garden, and a few neighbors began peeking through their windows and gates, drawn by the argument. Jennifer felt her face burn with shame. "What I earn or don't earn is none of your business." "Rebecca." "None of my business?" Her cousin raised her voice even louder, making sure everyone heard. "My aunt left hundreds of thousands to charities, and for her own daughter, she left this pigsty. Do you know what that means? Even she knew you didn't deserve better." Jennifer felt tears forming but fought them back. She wouldn't give Rebecca the satisfaction. "Ms. Reynolds," the realtor tried to sound sympathetic. "I understand the sentimental value, but you need to think practically. I can raise the offer to $60,000. Cash, no red tape." The answer is still no. Mrs. Jenkins appeared at her gate. "Everything all right over there, Jennifer?" Yes, Mrs. Jenkins. These people were just leaving. Matthew whispered something in Rebecca's ear, and she smirked. You know, Jennifer, I always wondered why my aunt protected you so much. Now I get it. You're cut from the same cloth, stubborn, proud, and stupid. Let's go, Matthew. Let her drown on her own. The trio left, leaving Jennifer shaking with anger and humiliation. A few neighbors still watched, whispering among themselves. Mrs. Jenkins approached. Don't pay that snake any mind, dear. Rebecca's always been jealous. Thank you, Mrs. Jenkins. Jennifer went back inside, closing the door behind her. She leaned against the old wood and finally let the tears fall. Maybe Rebecca was right. Maybe her mother really had thought her incapable of handling a bigger inheritance. But then she remembered the letter, the attic, the false wall. Jennifer wiped her face and climbed the stairs again, this time going all the way down the hall to the narrow door leading to the attic. The knob was stuck, but after a few tries, she got it open. The attic was even dustier than the rest of the house. Old boxes, antique suitcases, and broken furniture were piled up. Jennifer had to duck to avoid hitting the roof beams. She searched for the back wall where she vaguely remembered playing as a child. There was something odd about that wall. Some bricks looked newer than others, and when she knocked, the sound was hollow. Using an old screwdriver, she found on the floor, Jennifer began prying at the mortar between the bricks. To her surprise, it was loose, as if it had never fully dried. After a few minutes, she managed to remove one brick, then another. Behind the false wall was a small space. Jennifer shone her phone's flashlight and saw several metal boxes. She pulled one out, heavy and dusty. When she opened it, her heart nearly stopped. The box was full of old documents, but not just any documents. They were deeds, contracts, company stocks. One envelope in particular caught her eye. Last Will and Testament of William Rothschild Whitney, 1985. Jennifer opened it carefully. As she read, her eyes widened. William Rothschild Whitney, one of Portland's most prominent businessmen of the last century, left a significant stake in his companies and properties to Elizabeth Smith Reynolds, his grandmother. But there was a clause. Everything would remain a secret until the last direct descendant of Elizabeth Smith turned 40 or faced extreme necessity. The inheritance included not just money, but also the house, which apparently held immense historical and architectural value as one of the first examples of a specific construction technique brought from Europe. Jennifer had to sit down. This made no sense. Why would her grandmother keep this a secret? Why had her mother never mentioned it? She kept rummaging through the boxes, more documents, photographs, letters. Slowly, the story unfolded. Her grandmother had been William Rothschild Whitney's great love, but as a simple woman, the daughter of immigrants, his family never accepted their relationship. They kept their romance hidden for years. One letter in particular, written by her grandmother, explained everything. If you're reading this, my descendant, the time has come. William and I truly loved each other, but the world wasn't ready for our love. He wanted to give me everything, but I only accepted this house, where we were happy in secret. The rest, I asked to be kept for the future, when perhaps money would matter less than love, but if you need it, it's all here, use it wisely. Jennifer was stunned. She needed air. Carrying one of the boxes, she left the attic and stepped into the garden. The sun was already setting, painting the sky orange and pink. She sat on the front steps, trying to process it all. Her phone rang, an unknown number. Hello? Mrs. Jennifer Reynolds, this is attorney Gregory Wilson. I'm calling regarding a lawsuit filed against you. A lawsuit? What are you talking about? Mrs. Rebecca Reynolds Miller has filed a petition to condemn the property at 437 Maple Street. She claims it poses a public health risk and that you're unable to maintain it. Jennifer felt the ground vanish beneath her. She can't do that. Unfortunately, she can, and she has. The hearing is in 2 weeks. Do you have an attorney? No. How much does a lawyer cost? My retainer is $5,000, plus court fees, but I can refer you to a public defender, if you prefer. Jennifer hung up with trembling hands. Rebecca wasn't backing down. And now, knowing what she did about the house, Jennifer couldn't lose it no matter what. She went back inside and grabbed her old laptop. She needed to research William Rothschild Whitney, the companies mentioned in the documents, her legal rights, but her phone's mobile data was slow and the laptop froze with every click. Frustrated, she shut it down. Looking around the dusty living room, she made a decision. If she was going to fight for this house, she at least needed to make it livable. The next day, Jennifer woke up early and went to work. She spent the whole day thinking about the documents, her grandmother's letter, the lawsuit. Her boss, Michael, noticed her distraction. "Jennifer, this is the third mistake I've found in this spreadsheet. What's going on with you?" "I'm sorry, Mr. Michael. I'm dealing with some personal issues." "Personal issues stay at home. This is a workplace. If this continues, I'll have to reconsider your position here." Jennifer bit her lip to keep from responding. She needed that job, especially now. She focused on work for the rest of the day, but as soon as her shift ended, she rushed home. This time, she brought basic cleaning supplies. She started with the living room, sweeping away decades of dust and grime. As she cleaned, she noticed details she'd overlooked before, the original Portuguese tiles hidden beneath the dirt, the carved woodwork on the door frames, the colorful stained glass at the top of the stairs, miraculously intact. "Wow, you're really cleaning this place." Jennifer turned and saw Ethan, Mrs. Jenkins' son, standing in the doorway. He was a young man of about 25, whom she vaguely remembered from childhood. "Ethan, you've grown so much." He smiled, sheepishly. "Yeah, Mom told me you inherited the house. Need any help?" Jennifer was about to refuse automatically, but she glanced around. Alone, it would take her months to clean everything. "I can't afford to pay." "Oh, come on, no need to pay. Your mom was always good to us. When my dad lost his job, she found work for him. It's the least I can do." With Ethan's help, the work went much faster. He brought better tools and even managed to fix some broken windows with old wood they found in the backyard. "You know, Jennifer," Ethan said as he hammered a board, "I've always thought this house was amazing. My grandfather said it was built by a famous architect, using techniques no one else knew how to do." "Really? Which architect?" "I don't remember the name, but he said the guy came from Italy just to build a few houses here in Portland. This was one of the last before he went back to Europe." Jennifer tucked that information away, another piece of the puzzle. They worked until sunset. Jennifer offered a snack, but all she had was stale crackers and water. Ethan politely accepted. "I can come back tomorrow if you want. There's still a lot to do." "Ethan, I can't take advantage like this." "It's not taking advantage. It's what neighbors do. Something Rebecca doesn't understand." "Huh?" "Mom told me what she did yesterday." Jennifer lowered her head. "So everyone knows about my humiliation." "Everyone knows what kind of person Rebecca is. Don't worry, the neighborhood is on your side." After Ethan left, Jennifer went back up to the attic. She brought down more boxes, determined to examine everything. Among the documents, she found blueprints of the house, signed by a man named Jeffrey Marsden, dated 1920. The blueprints were works of art themselves, hand-drawn with stunning detail. They showed not just the structure of the house, but also decorative elements, many of which Jennifer hadn't noticed under all the grime and decay. There were also old property appraisals, always highlighting its architectural and historical value. One from 1990 already estimated its worth at a considerable sum if properly restored. Jennifer did the math in her head. If it was worth that much in 1990, what would it be worth now, especially with the real estate speculation in the area? Her phone rang. It was Rebecca. "Hey, cuz, heard you're playing maid in the old house." "What do you want, Rebecca?" "I want to spare you more humiliation. My offer still stands. In fact, Dr. Thompson agreed to raise it to 70 grand. That's more than you make in 3 years. I already said I'm not selling." "Jennifer, don't be stupid. You know you can't afford a lawyer. You'll lose the house either way. At least this way you walk away with something." "Why are you so interested in the house, Rebecca?" There was silence on the other end. "I'm just trying to help. But if you'd rather lose everything out of pride, that's your problem." Rebecca hung up. Jennifer stared at her phone, thoughtful. Her cousin never did anything without self-interest. What did she know that Jennifer didn't? Dear listener, If you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us just starting out. Now, continuing. The next day after work, Jennifer went to the public library. She needed to research Jeffrey Marsden and William Rothschild Whitney. The librarian, a kind older woman named Mrs. Dorothy, was intrigued by the request. Marsden? That name sounds familiar. Let me check the historical archives. While Mrs. Dorothy searched, Jennifer looked into William Rothschild Whitney in the digitized old newspapers. She discovered he had been one of the pioneers of industrialization in Portland, owning textile factories and coffee processing plants. Married to a high society woman with no children. "I found it," exclaimed Mrs. Dorothy, returning with a dusty folder. Jeffrey Marsden, Italian architect, arrived in Brazil in 1919, hired by wealthy families to build mansions. He became famous for using a construction technique called opus mixtum, blending ancient Roman methods with modern innovations. Jennifer flipped through the documents. There were photos of other houses built by Marsden, all demolished to make way for buildings. Hers was the last one standing. "Look at this," said Mrs. Dorothy, pointing to a newspaper clipping. "Last. Marsden House could be worth a fortune. It's from 2015. It says here that collectors and international museums are interested in houses with this construction technique." Jennifer's heart raced. She took photos of all the documents with her phone. "Mrs. Dorothy, do you know any good and affordable lawyers?" "Good and cheap lawyers are hard to come by, dear, but I know Dr. Robert Coleman. He sometimes takes pro bono cases for special circumstances. I can talk to him if you'd like. I'd really appreciate that." Jennifer left the library with her mind racing. The house wasn't just a family relic, it was an architectural treasure. But how could she prove that in court? And how could she do it without revealing the other secrets she'd uncovered? When she got home, her rented place, not the inherited one, she found an official summons under the door. Rebecca's lawsuit was moving forward, and she had only 10 days to file a defense. Jennifer spent the night wide awake, rereading documents, taking notes, trying to piece together a strategy. But she kept coming back to the same problem. Without money for a lawyer, her chances were slim. The next day, something unexpected happened. When she arrived at work, she was called into Michael's office. "Jennifer, we need to talk about your performance." She expected a reprimand, but what came was worse. "I'm letting you go. Your work quality has dropped significantly these past few weeks. Here's your severance." Jennifer was in shock. No job, no money, a lawsuit. It was too much. "Mr. Michael, please give me another chance. I promise I'll improve." "I'm sorry, Jennifer. The decision is final. You can collect your things." Jennifer left the office carrying a box of her belongings, tears blurring her vision. How would she pay rent? How would she defend herself in court? Without thinking, she took the bus to the inherited house. At least there she could cry in peace. When she arrived, she found Ethan working in the garden, cutting the overgrown weeds. "Jennifer, what happened?" He dropped the hoe when he saw her face. Between sobs, she told him about the firing. Ethan hugged her, a spontaneous gesture of support. "Take it easy, everything will work out. You're strong, you'll get through this." "How, Ethan? How am I supposed to get through this? I have no job, no money, and I'm going to lose the house too." "You won't lose anything. The neighbors are all talking about the mess Rebecca is making. No one here likes her." Mrs. Jenkins appeared at the gate, drawn by the voices. "Jennifer, dear, Ethan told me you've been cleaning the house. That's wonderful. Margaret would be happy." Jennifer wiped her tears, embarrassed. "Mrs. Jenkins, I just lost my job." "Oh my God, that Rebecca has no shame. It was her, wasn't it? She knows your boss, everyone knows." Jennifer's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" "Her husband, Matthew, is Michael's business partner in an import company. You didn't know?" Another piece of the puzzle. Rebecca had been systematically sabotaging her life. But why? "Come, let's have coffee at my place," offered Mrs. Jenkins. On an empty stomach, no one thinks straight. In Mrs. Jenkins' cozy kitchen, sipping coffee with homemade cornbread, Jennifer felt a little better. Ethan and his mother chatted, trying to lift her spirits. "Jennifer," Mrs. Jenkins suddenly said, "do you remember Mr. August, who lived on the corner? Vaguely. Didn't he move away? Not at all. He's still there. But the important thing is he worked for years at the property registry office. He retired recently. How about talking to him? He might know something about the house that could help. It was a glimmer of hope. Jennifer thanked her for the coffee and went to find Mr. August. She found him watering his plants, a kind-looking man in his 70s. Mr. August, I'm Jennifer, Margaret's daughter. Jennifer, it's been so long. I'm so sorry about your mother. She was a special woman. After condolences, Jennifer explained her situation. Mr. August scratched his chin thoughtfully. The Reynolds house. Yes, I remember it well. There are some peculiarities in its records. Come, let me show you something. He led her inside and pulled some old papers from a drawer. I shouldn't have copies of this, but I've always been curious about that house. Look here. The original deed from 1920 has a special clause. The house was registered as a privately owned architectural heritage with recommended preservation. What does that mean? It means any structural changes need special approval. And more, if its historical value is proven, it could be landmarked. In that case, you couldn't even sell it without authorization from the Historical Preservation Board. Jennifer felt a spark of hope. But how do I prove its historical value? You'd need a technical report, preferably from an architect specializing in heritage. I know one. Professor Harold from the Architecture College. He loves these cases. I'll call him. While Mr. August made the call, Jennifer considered the implications. If she got the landmark status, Rebecca couldn't do a thing. But would there be enough time? All set, Mr. August said. Harold can visit the house tomorrow morning. He said if it's truly a well-preserved Marsden house, it's a historical find. Jennifer thanked him profusely and returned home. She needed to prepare everything for the architect's visit. She spent the rest of the day cleaning, organizing the documents she'd found, and putting together a presentation. That night, exhausted but hopeful, Jennifer decided to sleep in the house for the first time. She set up an old mattress she'd found and settled into what had been her mother's room. Lying in the dark, listening to the sounds of the old house, creaking wood, wind through broken tiles, Jennifer thought of her grandmother, her mother, and all the secrets those walls held. She was awakened in the middle of the night by a strange noise. Footsteps downstairs. Jennifer froze. Grabbing her phone and a flashlight, she crept down slowly. In the living room, she found a man rummaging through the document boxes she'd left on the table. "Hey, what are you doing here?" The man startled and bolted for the door. Jennifer recognized him. It was Dr. Thompson, Rebecca's realtor. Friend. He fled before she could do anything. Jennifer checked the documents. He hadn't taken anything, but now Rebecca knew there was something important in the house. She called the police, but they said without proof or catching him in the act, there was nothing they could do. Jennifer spent the rest of the night awake, keeping watch. In the morning, right at 9, Professor Harold arrived. He was a man in his 60s with round glasses and an intellectual air. His eyes lit up when he saw the house's facade. "My goodness, it really is a Marsden. Look at these details, this construction technique. It's a treasure." He spent the next 3 hours examining every inch of the house, taking photos and notes. Jennifer followed along, learning about each architectural detail. "Look at these tiles," he said, pointing at what Jennifer thought was just dirt. "They're original pieces from Coimbra, probably from 1880. And this interlocking beam technique, it's one of a kind. Marsden developed it based on Roman constructions from 2,000 years ago." When they reached the attic, the professor nearly had a fit of joy. "The original blueprints. Mrs. Reynolds, do you have any idea of the historical value of these? There are universities in Europe that would pay fortunes just to study these documents." Jennifer showed him the other papers, only omitting those related to the secret inheritance. The professor grew more and more excited. "I'll need to prepare a full report, but I can tell you this much. This house is an invaluable treasure. I'll recommend immediate landmark status. And more, I know international investors interested in funding the restoration of buildings like this. How long will the report take?" "I can have a preliminary report ready in 3 days, enough for emergency landmark status. The full report will take about 2 weeks." Jennifer explained the legal action against her. The professor was outraged. Demolishing a Marsden? That's a crime against cultural heritage. Don't worry, I'll speed things up, and I'll talk to some colleagues. We can gather signatures from the academic community. After he left, Jennifer felt lighter. She had a real chance now, but she barely had time to celebrate. Her phone rang. It was her apartment landlord. Jennifer, I heard you lost your job. I'm sorry, but I'll need the apartment back. You have 30 days to move out. It was the final blow. Jennifer collapsed onto the old house's floor and cried like she hadn't since her mother's death. She was losing everything. Ethan found her like that an hour later. He had come to check on her after the architect's visit. Jennifer, what happened now? She told him between sobs. Ethan sat beside her on the floor. Then stay here. The house is yours, isn't it? Here? Ethan, there's no running water. The electricity's cut off. The roof is leaking. We'll figure it out. Water. I can set up a temporary line from my place. Electricity can be fixed too. The roof, well, we can cover the holes with tarps. For now. I can't accept so much help. Jennifer, stop. Rebecca is playing dirty, using money and influence. Those of us who don't have that have to use what we do. Unity, solidarity. The whole neighborhood knew Mrs. Margaret. Everyone loved her. They'll help. And Ethan was right. When word spread, neighbors began showing up. Jack, the retired. Mason offered to fix the roof. Mrs. Mary, the seamstress, brought curtains. Her son, an electrician, promised to set up a safe connection. In 2 days, the house was barely livable, but livable. Jennifer moved her few belongings from the apartment. It was strange living in the house where her mother had grown up, but comforting too. At night, alone in the old house, Jennifer explored more boxes of documents. She found contracts from companies that no longer existed, but whose legal successors owed fortunes in unpaid dividends, stocks now worth millions, deeds to properties in Portland that were now prime real estate. But how could she claim any of it without a lawyer? And were they even still valid after all this time? On the 3rd, Professor Harold returned with the preliminary report, and a surprise. He'd brought a team of architecture students. I hope you don't mind, he said, but they need to learn about historical preservation, and your house is a perfect example. The students were amazed. They took photos, measurements, sketches. One student in particular, Rachel, was fascinated by the tiles. Professor Reynolds, she said. The professor had introduced Jennifer as the owner and guardian of the property. Could I write my thesis on this house? It would be about techniques for restoring historical tiles. Jennifer agreed, moved by the respectful treatment. In just a few days, she had gone from poor thing who inherited an old house to guardian of historical heritage. Professor Harold also brought good news. I filed for emergency landmark status, and I got something even better. A judge friend of mine granted an injunction preventing any action on the house until the process is complete. Your cousin can't do anything for now. Jennifer nearly cried with relief, but Rebecca wasn't one to give up easily. The next day, Jennifer woke to the sound of machinery. She rushed outside and saw a tractor approaching the house. Rebecca was there wearing a triumphant smile alongside city officials. Demolition order for public health hazards, Rebecca shouted. Game over, cuz! Jennifer ran to grab the injunction, but before she could do anything, the neighbors began stepping out of their homes. Mrs. Jenkins, Jack, Ethan, Mrs. Dorothy, and many others formed a human chain in front of the house. You're not tearing anything down, Mrs. Jenkins yelled. This house is part of our neighborhood's heritage. The tractor driver hesitated. The city inspector looked uneasy. Folks, step aside. This is a court order. What court order? Jennifer finally managed to approach with the paper. I have an injunction here preventing any action on the house. The inspector read the document, checked his phone and sighed. Seems there was a mistake. The demolition order was suspended yesterday, but no one informed us. You can all leave. The machinery retreated. Rebecca was furious. This isn't over, Jennifer. You think you've won? You don't know who you're messing with. Oh, I do, Rebecca. I'm dealing with a greedy cousin who thinks money buys everything. But you know what? My mother taught me some things are worth more. Rebecca stepped closer and whispered, You have no idea what you're losing. That house is worth millions, you idiot. You think I don't know? The land alone is a fortune for the developers. But you'd rather play guardian of old junk. If you knew it was worth so much, why did you only offer 70 grand? Rebecca realized her mistake and backed away. Whatever. You don't even have money to pay the electric bill. You'll lose. Say it anyway. After Rebecca left, the neighbors celebrated their victory, but Jennifer knew it was temporary. She needed a permanent solution. That afternoon, she received an unexpected visit. Mr. Robert Coleman, the lawyer Mrs. Dorothy had mentioned. Mrs. Reynolds, I came on Mrs. Dorothy's recommendation. I heard about your situation and would like to help. Doctor, I can't afford fees. I'm not asking for payment. I take a few pro bono cases a year and yours caught my interest. A David and Goliath battle always motivates me. They spent hours talking. Jennifer showed all the documents, including those about the secret inheritance. The lawyer grew increasingly impressed. Mrs. Reynolds, you're sitting on a gold mine. These stocks, these contracts, we'll need to verify, but if even half of this is still valid, we're talking millions. Tens of millions. Jennifer had to sit down. But why did my mother never... From what I gather in the documents, there were specific conditions, and maybe your mother wanted to protect you. Big money brings big trouble. Look at your cousin. It was true. Jennifer was beginning to understand her mother's wisdom. What do we do now? First, we secure the landmark status. Then we start tracking these companies and dividends. It'll take time, but we have a solid foundation. In the following days, Jennifer's life became a routine of small victories and big challenges. The house turned into a site for students and researchers. The story of the Marsdens and their revolutionary techniques drew academics from universities across the country. Ethan continued helping daily. He'd become more than a neighbor. He was a true friend. Sometimes Jennifer caught him looking at her differently, but she pushed those thoughts away. She had too many problems to think about romance. One afternoon, while cataloging more documents with the help of Rachel, the student, Jennifer found something that made her blood run cold. A birth certificate. A child born in 1956, the son of Elizabeth Smith Reynolds and William Rothschild. Whitney. Did my mother have a brother? Jennifer murmured. She kept searching and found more documents. The child, a boy named Charles, had been adopted by a family from São Paulo. There were letters exchanged between her grandmother and the adoptive parents, ensuring the boy would receive a good education. Jennifer did the math. If he were alive, Charles would be nearly 70. Did he have children, grandchildren, more heirs? She immediately called Dr. Robert. He was silent for a moment. This complicates things. If there are other heirs, the inheritance will need to be divided. On the other hand, it strengthens the case for the document's legitimacy. I'll investigate. While waiting for news, Jennifer kept to her routine. The house was looking better every day. The students had created a full restoration proposal to present to cultural investors. One morning, Jennifer was woken by shouting. She rushed to the window and saw Rebecca arguing with Ethan in the garden. "You think you're clever, don't you?" Rebecca yelled, helping her, thinking you'll get something out of it. "I help because it's the right thing. Something." "You wouldn't understand," Ethan replied calmly. "Oh, please. Everyone sees how you look at her. You think Jennifer will want a broke guy like you once she has money?" Jennifer ran downstairs. "Rebecca, get off my property now. Your property won't be yours for long. Know what I found? You haven't paid property taxes for the last 5 years. The debt is higher than the house's value. The city will take everything." Jennifer froze. Property taxes. How had she not thought of that? "My mother always paid the bill." "Your mother paid for the apartment she lived in. Nothing for this house. It's almost $100,000 in debt. Good luck paying that." Rebecca walked away laughing. Jennifer leaned on Ethan, her legs shaky. $100,000, how will I pay that?" "Take it easy. We'll talk to the lawyer. There must be a way." But Jennifer barely heard him. After everything, she'd lose the house over taxes. It was too ironic. Dr. Robert confirmed the bad news but offered a possibility. "Since the house is being considered for historical preservation, we can request an exemption for the back taxes. But we need to prove the house has exceptional cultural value. Professor Harold's full report would be essential. Jennifer called the professor, explaining the urgency. He promised to speed up the work, but needed at least another week. A week. Jennifer didn't know if she could handle the pressure that long. That night, sitting on the house's stairs, Jennifer stared at the stars through the holes in the roof. She was so tired of fighting. Maybe she should accept Rebecca's offer and disappear. "You're not giving up now, are you?" It was Ethan, carrying 2 mugs of tea. "Sometimes I think it'd be easier." "Easier, sure, but your mother didn't raise you to take the easy way out, did she?" Jennifer smiled for the first time in days. "No, she didn't. She always said, 'Jennifer, life is like baking bread. You have to knead the dough, let it rise, knead it again. Only then does it turn out right.'" Wise words, Mrs. Margaret. My mother speaks very highly of her, you know. Said when my father drank, "Your mother was the only one who didn't judge, who helped our family." It was true. Jennifer vaguely remembered those hard times for the neighbors. "Ethan, why are you helping me so much?" He blushed, visible even in the dim light. "Because it's the right thing, and because I believe in you. I saw you care for your mother, your kindness, your dedication. People like that deserve good things." There was a comfortable silence between them. Jennifer felt something she hadn't felt in a long time, hope mixed with another emotion she didn't dare name. The next day brought more surprises. Dr. Robert called early. "Jennifer, I found Charles. Well, I found his death certificate. He passed away 10 years ago, but he had 2 children, Michael and Amanda Patricia. They're alive and living in São Paulo." Jennifer felt conflicting emotions. Sadness for the uncle she'd never known, anxiety about cousins who might appear. Do they know about the inheritance? Apparently not. Charles was officially adopted. He may not have even known who his biological parents were. "I'm looking into it further." The week passed in a haze of anxiety. Jennifer barely slept, torn between worrying about taxes and the possibility of new heirs. Ironically, the house had never looked more beautiful. The neighbors kept helping, and the students worked tirelessly on the restoration project. Finally, Professor Harold arrived with the full report, a 50-page document detailing every architectural, historical, and cultural aspect of the house. "Jennifer, this house is one of a kind. Literally, it's the last building Marsden designed. In Brazil, maybe in the world. Its cultural value is priceless. And I found more. The King of Italy visited this house in 1922 during the Independence Centennial. There are records of it." This was the ammunition they needed. Dr. Robert immediately filed for tax exemption and international cultural heritage status. 2 days later, the response came. Full exemption granted and more. The city offered a restoration support program with federal funding for historic landmarks. Jennifer cried with relief. She had won another battle. But the war wasn't over. Rebecca showed up the next day, but this time she wasn't alone. She brought a man Jennifer didn't know, tall in an expensive suit, with an intimidating air. "Jennifer, this is Dr. Stephen Parker. He represents a group of investors interested in the property." "The house isn't for sale, Rebecca. How many times do I have to say it?" The man stepped forward. "Ms. Reynolds, let me be direct. We know about the documents. We know about the Rothschild-Whitney inheritance, and we know there are other heirs." Jennifer tried not to show surprise. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Of course you do. Your cousin has been very helpful in providing information, but I'm here to make a civilized offer. $5 million for the house and all the documents. It's more than fair." "Fair?" Jennifer couldn't contain her outrage. "You think it's fair to pay $5 million for something worth 10 times that?" The man smiled coldly. "So you know its real value. Good, that saves explanations. But think, do you have the resources to fight for this inheritance? Specialized lawyers, legal fees, years in court, and the other heirs? Do you think they won't want their share?" "You should take it, Jennifer," Rebecca cut in. $5 million is more money than you'd ever see in your lifetime." The answer is still no. The man sighed. "Ms. Reynolds, I didn't want to go this far, but you're forcing me. We've looked into your life. I know about your debts, that you're unemployed, that you're living in this house without basic conditions. How long do you think you'll last? As long as it takes. We'll see. Rebecca, I think your cousin needs more encouragement. They left, leaving Jennifer uneasy. What kind of encouragement? The answer came quickly. The next day, inspectors from various departments started showing up. Health, fire, civil defense, all with citations, fines, demands. This is harassment. Dr. Robert fumed. We'll appeal everything, but it'll take time. Jennifer was exhausted. Every day brought a new battle, but the worst was yet to come. One morning, Ethan didn't show up. Strange, he came every day. Jennifer went to Mrs. Jenkins's house to ask. Ethan was arrested. Mrs. Jenkins was in tears. They said, he stole construction materials from the job site where he works. But it's a lie, my son is honest. Jennifer had no doubts. This was Rebecca and her accomplices doing. I'll fix this, Mrs. Jenkins, I promise. She called Dr. Robert, who immediately went to the police station. He discovered the complaint was anonymous and the evidence was circumstantial. But the sheriff, coincidentally a friend of Matthew, Rebecca's husband, didn't want to release Ethan. Jennifer was desperate. Because of her, Ethan was suffering. She grabbed her phone and for the first time called Rebecca. What do you want? Hi, cousin. What a pleasant surprise. I heard about your little friend. What a shame, huh? Rebecca, he has nothing to do. With this, let him go. Of course we will, as soon as you sign the sale papers. Jennifer closed her eyes, so that was it. Pure blackmail. Have you no heart? Heart doesn't pay bills, sweetheart. So are you going to sign, or will Ethan spend a few good months in jail waiting for trial? Jennifer hung up. She looked around the house she'd fought so hard to keep. Was it worth sacrificing a friend for it? She went to the police station. Ethan was in a cell, dejected but trying to appear strong. Jennifer, you shouldn't have come. I don't want you to see me like this. Ethan, forgive me. This is all my fault. Fault? Jennifer, you did nothing. This is a setup, we both know. That I can end this. I just have to sell the house. Ethan held her hand through the bars. Don't even think about it. That's not what we fought so hard for. Your mother wouldn't want this. But I can't leave you here. I'll manage. I'm stronger than I look. And Dr. Robert will get me out. You'll see. Jennifer left, the station torn. But Ethan was right. Giving in now would betray everything they'd fought for. Instead of going home, she went to the cemetery. She knelt before her mother's grave. Mom, help me. I don't know what to do anymore. I'm so tired. The wind rustled the leaves and Jennifer felt a strange peace. She remembered something her mother always said. When it seems like there's no way out, it's because you're looking in the wrong direction. Looking in the wrong direction, Jennifer had an epiphany. She'd been fighting a defensive battle, only reacting to attacks. What if she attacked instead? She returned home determined. She called Dr. Robert. Doctor, I want to sue Rebecca and that Stephen Parker for trespassing, attempted extortion, false accusations, conspiracy, everything. Jennifer, this might make them even angrier. Let them be angry. I'm tired of taking hits. Time to fight back. She spent the night preparing everything. She gathered evidence, the realtor's trespassing, the recorded threats, she'd saved some phone conversations, the forged documents. The next day, she filed it all. And she did more. She went to the press. A local reporter, Ashley Taylor, was interested in the story. A family feud over inheritance, a historic property under threat, harassment. This is quite the story. I just want the truth to come out. The article ran 2 days later, with photos of the house and interviews with neighbors. The headline was eye-catching. Heiress fights to preserve last example of unique architecture while facing family harassment. The response was immediate. Historians and architects from across the state voiced their support for Jennifer. The story went viral on social media. The hashtag #ChooSaveTheMarsden House started circulating. Public pressure worked. Ethan was released. The next day, with a formal apology from the police station. Mrs. Jenkins cried with joy, and Jennifer finally allowed herself to hug Ethan without reservation. You were amazing, he said. You stood up to all of them. I learned from the best. My mother, you, the neighbors. Alone, I'm nothing, Rebecca called, furious. You think you've won? This isn't over. No, Rebecca, it's only just begun. Oh, and I hope you have a good lawyer. The extortion lawsuit is already underway. The silence on the other end was music to Jennifer's ears. With the story now public, more support poured in. A European Cultural Institute offered funding for the full restoration. Universities wanted partnerships for research. And the most surprising of all, Charles's heirs, his cousins from Portland, appeared. Michael and Amanda Patricia were twins, 40 years old, and completely different from Rebecca. They arrived on a sunny afternoon, shy and emotional. "Jennifer?" Amanda Patricia had tears in her eyes. We found out about our biological father from the newspaper article. Is it true? Are we family?" Jennifer hugged them. "You're my cousins, children of the uncle I never knew. Welcome." They spent hours talking. Michael and Amanda Patricia had grown up knowing they were adopted, but their adoptive parents never knew details about their origins. Now discovering they had a history, a family, was overwhelming. "We don't want anything from the inheritance," Michael said. "We had wonderful parents, a good upbringing. We just want to know our roots." Jennifer showed them the photos, the letters, and told the story of their grandparents' impossible love. The cousins cried, laughed, and were deeply moved. Dr. Robert, present at the meeting, clarified, "Legally, you're each entitled to a third. That's the law." "Then let Jennifer manage our share too," Amanda Patricia said, "to restore the house, preserve the memory. It's what our biological father would have wanted." Jennifer protested, but they were firm. They signed a power of attorney giving her full control over their portions, asking only to be kept informed and to visit whenever they wished. With her cousins by her side and public support, Jennifer felt stronger. The process of settling the business inheritances progressed. Several companies acknowledged their debts and proposed million-dollar settlements. Rebecca, on the other hand, was increasingly cornered. The extortion case moved forward, and Stephen Parker vanished, leaving her alone to face the consequences. 6 months after that first visit to the notary's office, Jennifer was at the house overseeing the start of restoration work. The team of specialists worked carefully, preserving every historical detail. Ethan was by her side, now officially her boyfriend. It had happened naturally, after so much struggle together. "It feels like a dream," Jennifer said. 6 months. "Diego, I was a debt-ridden office assistant. Now you're the heroine who saved a historic treasure," Ethan finished. "It wasn't just me. It was everyone. You, the neighbors, Dr. Robert, Professor Harold." Mrs. Jenkins arrived with cake and coffee for the workers. "Jennifer, have you seen Rebecca today?" "Rebecca? No, why?" "She came by earlier. She looked different, asked to speak with you." Jennifer was puzzled. Rebecca had moved to the countryside after the scandal broke. Matthew had filed for divorce and the legal battles drained her savings. Jennifer's phone rang, an unknown number. "Jennifer, it's Rebecca. I need to talk to you, please." The voice was unrecognizable, stripped of its usual arrogance. "What do you want, Rebecca?" "To apologize and to ask for help." Jennifer fell silent, shocked. "Will you meet me? Please, I'm at the cafe on the square." Against her instincts, Jennifer went. She found Rebecca sitting in a corner, barely recognizable, thinner, her hair without its usual expensive treatment, dressed simply. "Thank you for coming." Rebecca couldn't meet Jennifer's eyes. "What happened to you?" "What I probably deserved. I lost everything. Matthew, money, friends. I found out Stephen Parker used information I gave him for side deals. I'm under investigation too." Jennifer took no pleasure in her cousin's downfall. "Only pity. What do you want from me?" "Forgiveness and work. I know I don't deserve it, but I have no one else left. The whole family turned their backs on me." "You're right. Rebecca, you tried to ruin my life. I know." The tears finally fell. "I was always jealous of you, Jennifer. Aunt Margaret loved you so much, was so proud. My mother could only compare me to you. When she died and left the house, I thought it was my chance to prove I was better, smarter, but all I proved was how petty I am." Jennifer looked at her broken cousin before her. She remembered her mother's words, "Forgiveness frees the one who forgives more than the one who is forgiven." "Get up, Rebecca. Let's have a proper coffee and talk." They talked for hours. Rebecca told the whole truth, how she learned, about the house's potential value through Matthew, who had connections in real estate, how they planned everything to force Jennifer to sell cheaply, how it all spiraled out of control when Stephen Parker got involved. He used me, Jennifer, took all the information and cut his own deal. I found out he'd bought the surrounding land years ago, waiting to get the whole block. It was another piece of the puzzle. Jennifer understood now why there was so much pressure over the house. What are you good at, Rebecca? I studied business administration. I worked with Matthew at the companies, but I was more decorative than anything. He never really let me participate. Jennifer made a decision that would have surprised her months ago. The house is becoming a cultural center. I'll need someone to manage it, organize events, handle the paperwork. I can give you a chance, but with conditions. Rebecca's eyes widened. You do that for me? I'm doing it for me. Holding on to bitterness is too heavy, but it's a trial period. One misstep and you're out. I don't know what to say. Thank you isn't enough. Then don't say it. Prove it. Show up Monday at 8. And Rebecca, loyalty isn't optional this time. Jennifer left the cafe feeling strangely light. Forgiving wasn't forgetting. It was freeing herself. The house's restoration progressed. Every wall revealed new treasures, hidden frescoes, unique construction techniques, even a small built-in safe with old coins and love letters between her grandmother and William. The Marsden House Cultural Center opened a year later. Jennifer made sure admission was free for neighborhood residents. There were exhibits on local history, craft workshops, music classes. The house came alive again. At the inauguration, the mayor, the governor, even ambassadors came to honor it. But to Jennifer, the most important guests were others. Mrs. Jenkins, old Jack, the neighbors who had believed in her from the start. Michael and Amanda Patricia came from Riverside with their families. Children ran through the now flowering garden, and Jennifer thought her grandmother would be happy to see the house full of life again. Rebecca, quietly, coordinated everything efficiently. She had proven herself trustworthy and capable. The cousins' relationship would never be the same, but there was mutual respect now. Ethan stood beside Jennifer during the plaque unveiling. "Ready," he whispered. "With you here, always." The plaque read, "Marsden House, Margaret Reynolds Cultural Center, where the past meets the future." Jennifer addressed the crowd. "This house is proof that true love transcends time. My grandmother and William Rothschild Whitney loved each other in an era when that love was impossible. They kept that love in these walls, in these documents, in this story. My mother, Margaret, preserved it all, waiting for the right moment. Today we share that love with all of you. May this house always be a place of gathering, culture, and unity." As everyone applauded, Jennifer looked up at the sky. She could have sworn she saw her mother smiling in the clouds. 3 years later, Marsden House was a cultural landmark in the region. Visitors came from across the country, international scholars, artists. Jennifer managed everything with the help of a dedicated team, including Rebecca, who became indispensable. The income from the business inheritances was invested in social projects for the neighborhood. A community library, a vocational training center, a daycare. The Riverside neighborhood flourished. Jennifer and Ethan married in a simple ceremony in the garden of the house. Mrs. Jenkins was the matron of honor, crying with emotion. Their cousins from Portland were the best men, now fully integrated into the family. During the celebration, Jennifer quietly slipped up to the attic, now transformed into a historical archive. She touched the wall where it all began. "We did it, Mom. The house is alive, full of love, just as you wanted." A gentle breeze drifted through the window, and Jennifer smiled. Some inheritances are worth more than money. They're worth the history, the memories, the love that transcends generations. She returned to the party where Ethan waited for their waltz. As they danced, he whispered, "What are you thinking about?" "How life takes its turns. 3 years ago, I thought I'd only inherited an old house." "And what did you really inherit?" Jennifer looked around. The restored house, dear friends, reunited family, love by her side. "I inherited a home, and that's priceless." And so the house that was almost demolished became a symbol of resilience, love, and unity. Jennifer learned that the greatest riches don't always come in the form of money, but in human connections, preserved history, and the courage to fight for what's right. The girl who was humiliated for inheriting an abandoned house discovered she had inherited much more, a legacy of love that spanned generations and would live on for many more. On quiet evenings, when the cultural center closed and Jennifer made her final rounds, she could still feel the presence of all who had loved that house, and she knew she had fulfilled her mission to turn bricks and mortar into something far greater, a true home for the entire community. The end. Did you enjoy Jennifer's story and her fight to preserve not just a house, but a legacy of love and perseverance? Leave a like and comment below, telling us where you're watching from. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next heartwarming stories. Would you have Jennifer's courage? Share your thoughts with us.